What would you consider interpersonal communication between you and your waiter or you and your father? Well, honestly, that depends on you. Um, Chapter 6 explains what is interpersonal communications, the principles of communications, and how us as humans can communicate effectively with other people through small talk, compliments, and dialogue. So let's get into it. So, one fact that I found really interesting about chapter 1 is interpersonal communication and what it is. Is Interpersonal communication is communication that occurs between two people who have a relationship and who are thus influenced by each other's communication message. So honestly, what that simply means is just a relationship between you and someone else. It could be your waiter, it could be your loved one, it could be family, it could just be simply someone you just don't care about. But what I find interesting about that is that the scientists created a continuum, which is a scale of rating of where like the personal relationships rate. So on the lower end is like you and your waiter, and then the higher end is you and your parents, you or your parents or loved ones, and vice versa. Which I find kind of interesting is that not everyone is very close to their parents. Other people would be closer to their waitress, and so I think that that kind of plays into like the principles of communications. Like some people don't necessarily know how to be polite or kind of necessarily communicate effectively with other people, even their loved ones. So sometimes you'll have like a nice conversation and you'll try to be polite with someone, and then they don't want to give you that same energy, and then it kind of makes you upset. And what I like about the principle of of politeness is that there's a scale for it, and in the book, well, I have the ebook. So in the ebook, there's actually an exam for you to take on where you scale from 1 to 6 on the politeness, and I actually rated, or I scored on the higher end, which is a 6. So that shows that I'm very polite to people. I'm very empathetic, and I know how to show like empathy to other people when it comes to communicating. And I think that is true, and it falls under the maximum of I believe it's called maximum of politeness. Yes, the maximum of sympathy. I'm sorry. Yes, maximum sympathy, and I believe that that kind of works when I used to be a flight attendant. I really needed that skill to empathize with people. People would just always be in a bad mood. We were also in a pandemic. Other people are very afraid of flying, so you have to keep that in mind. Be empathetic towards people when they're communicating with you and they're not exactly being the nicest person ever. So what I did like about chapter 6 is that they did at the end explain how to communicate effectively with other people and give suggestions on how to give compliments. And I thought it was weird because I'm not one who um, accepts compliments. I'm usually a person who's just like blank, or I kind of like deflect from compliments. And in the book, it explains how as humans, we have two ways of avoiding a compliment. It's either one, we deflect the compliments and say, no, we didn't necessarily work hard enough for it, or we downplay like the achievement, like, oh, it wasn't hard enough, like anyone could really do it. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I'm a person who does that, and I dedicated the last year into giving myself well, not just myself but other people compliments as well, and just accepting compliments from other people and learning to teach other people how to accept compliments, like my younger sister, my friends, people I work with. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed my presentation, and thank you for listening.